मो आके बिहारी, भक्तों की तुमने कान्हा विपदा है टारी, मेरी भी बाह थामो आके बिहारी, मेरी भी बाह थामो आके बिहारी, मेरे जीवन का हो तुम ही आधार मुरली वाले, मेरे जीवन का हो तुम ही आधार मुरली वाले, मेरी सांस सांस में तेरा, मेरी सांस सांस में तेरा है नाम मुरली वाले, मुझे चरणों से लगा ले मेरे श्याम मुरली वाले, मुझे चरणों से लगा ले मेरे श्याम मुरली वाले, राधे श्याम राधे श्याम राधे श्याम राधे श्याम राधे श्याम राधे श्याम, राधे श्याम राधे श्याम राधे श्याम, राधे श्याम राधे श्याम राधे श्याम, मुझे चरणों से लगा ले मेरे श्याम मुरली वाले, मुझे चरणों से लगा ले मेरे श्याम मुरली वाले, मेरी सांस सांस में तेरा, मेरी सांस सांस में तेरा है नाम मुरली वाले, मुझे चरणों से लगा ले मेरे श्याम मुरली वाले, मुझे चरणों से लगा ले मेरे श्याम मुरली वाले, राधे श्याम राधे श्याम राधे श्याम, 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 हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे रामा 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे रामा 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे रामा 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 हरे हरे, मुझे चरणों से लगा ले मेरे श्याम मुरली वाले, मुझे चरणों से लगा ले मेरे श्याम मुरली वाले, राधे श्याम राधे श्याम राधे श्याम, राधे श्याम राधे श्याम राधे श्याम, राधे श्याम राधे श्याम राधे श्याम, राधे श्याम राधे श्याम राधे श्याम। श्री श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय, श्रीला प्रभुपाद जी की जय, समस्त गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, श्री श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंद हरि हरि बोल। Thank you. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you, Mataji, for the wonderful Kirtan. Prasannatma Balaram Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams. You can start, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Dandavat Pranams to everybody. I hope my video, audio, everything is okay.
Yes, Prabhuji.
All right. See, Mataji, this sharing you want me to do, or you will be able to do?
Deepa Mataji, can you help us with screen sharing, Mataji?
Okay, Mataji.
Is that okay? Is that okay?
Yes, sure, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Where are we, Mataji?
I will send you the message. I'll send you a message, Mataji.
Okay.
Okay, so Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams to all the devotees. So, welcoming each one of you for this morning's ICF Srimad Bhagavatam program. So, thank you for giving me this opportunity. So, always grateful and indebted to this wonderful forum and to all the devotees here. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narotamam Devim Saraswatam Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudiraye Nashta Prayeshu Havadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Mungum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatham Aham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Ramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. So today, Canto 2, Chapter 7, the scheduled incarnations. We will be looking at 38, I think. 2:7:38.
Yes, Prabhuji. Mataji, 2.7.38, Mataji. I said it wrongly by mistake. Sorry.
I think here only you can correct it. Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you so much.
Just 2 minutes, Prabhu.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so thank you so much. I'm sorry I put you in a spot, but
No problem, Prabhu.
so thank you for sharing this. The shloka 2.7.38, from 38 to 42. So there are 5 shlokas that we will see. So I need a lot of practice for these shlokas, a little different meter, but anyway, we'll try to get it right. Yaryaleshva api satham na harihi katah syuyuhu pashandino dvijajana varshala naradevaha swaha swadhavashaditi smagiro nayatra shashtha bhavishyati kaler bhagavan yughante. Anybody wants to try? I see a lot of hands up. So we can start with Deepa Mataji. Do you want to try the shloka?
Yes. Yarhalaye swapi satam nahare kathasyu pashandino dvijajana vishala nrideva swaha swadha vashaditi smagiro nayatra shasta bhavishyati kaler bhagavan yugante.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we'll see the translation. Translation, someone else wants to try?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Yes,
Translation by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thereafter, at the end of Kali Yuga, when there exists no topics on the subject of God, even at the residence of so-called saints and respectable gentlemen of the 3 higher castes, and when the power of government is transferred to the hands of ministers elected from the low-born Shuddha class or those less than them, and when nothing is known of the techniques of sacrifice, even by word, at that time the Lord will appear as the supreme chastiser. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So thank you so much. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Krishna Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devan Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatrubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Paditanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So just seeking all the blessings and the mercy of all the Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis who are present here, so that I might be able to speak. The right words come out at the right time in the right spirit. And this is basically for my purification, as a service for the Guru, for my Guru, for the Guru Parampara, and for the pleasure of the Lordships. So Hare Krishna. So here actually we are in this particular shloka. So just a minute. Okay, so this particular shloka, the translation, Brahmaji is speaking. So we all know there is this discussion which is going on between Lord Brahma and whom is he talking to? Anybody remembers? Yeah, Narada Muni. Yeah, thank you. So Brahma and Narada. So who are actually Brahmaji, Brahma and Narada? So they are actually the start of our parampara. So the ISKCON actually belongs to the parampara, which is started by Brahmadev. So Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. So this becomes a very important conversation for all of us to hear, to understand, and then to assimilate and implement. So here, what is being told here? At the end of Kali Yuga, when there exists no topics on the subject of God, even at the residences of so-called saints and respectable gentlemen of the three higher castes, and when the power of government is transferred to the hands of ministers elected from the low-born Shudra class or those less than them, and when nothing is known of the techniques of sacrifices, even by word, at that time the Lord will appear as a supreme chastiser. So that's the translation that we are seeing. And then like we said, this particular topic is called as scheduled incarnations. And the information that is given here in this particular purport, so we are not reading the purport, but I'll try to cover whatever is there in the purport. So here, the information given in the purport becomes very significant for all of us because of the reason that I just said. And then we also know that the Lord takes incarnations. Right from our childhood, we've been told about it. So, Mataji, we can stop the screen sharing if that's okay. So that will distract people and try to read. Okay, thank you. So, here what is happening, we know, I mean, right from our childhood, that's the first thing that we teach a child when we are talking about God. We talk about the God and the incarnations of God. It could be in story forms and then it could be in shlokas or whatever. So we all know that the Lord takes incarnations. But then we should also know that he can take incarnations at any time, anyhow, because he is the supreme personality of Godhead. Who are we to question the Lord? But generally what happens sometimes, you know, we also would have done it in the past before coming to Krishna consciousness. So where we'll say, but how come the Lord did this? Oh, no, there are only 10 avatars because that is why it is called as the Shavatara. And there's so many wrong conceptions that we had. And then we continue to have, and then slowly by the mercy of Parampara, this is getting eliminated. So the first thing is that he is the Supreme Lord. So he can take any avatar, anytime, anyhow. So in Kali Yuga especially, what is happening, it becomes more relevant for us because Srimad Bhagavatam, see, we are reading the Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is actually for the Kali Yuga people. And that's how Vyasadeva made this out. So, especially for the people of Kali Yuga, what is happening is we are getting cheated. The people are getting cheated. So, by unscrupulous people, people who claim, the so-called saintly people, who claim themselves to be incarnations of the Lord, and then they enjoy materially. That's all. Like they take, they exploit the services of their followers. They give them a lot of services by way of activities. Means they give their time, and also a lot of money pours into this thing. But then they misuse it, and then because they claim themselves as incarnations, and then suddenly one fine day in the newspapers or in the news channel, you will read that something drastic that person has done, something abominable, and then there is a case that is put, and then all those things goes on. So this activity of cheating and getting cheated continues. It goes on in Kali Yuga, and I don't think I need to elaborate much. We all are aware of what we are talking about. So now, so many people are claiming that they are God. So how do we go around? Whom do we believe? Is the general question that people have. The scriptures tell us that all the incarnations of the Lord are already mentioned, and this is a very important point that generally people miss out. So, but then as practicing sadhakas, as people, devotees who are connected to the ISKCON, we need to understand that we'll have to look for proof before we blindly accept anybody as an incarnation. So this is very important. So we need to have the Shastric evidence, and Shastric evidence is here by way of the conversation between Brahmaji and Narada Muni in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So that is what we are seeing, and we've been seeing it for the past few days now. So there is this particular test, the three-way test they call it. Any of you have heard of this three-way test? If you have heard of it, then you can go ahead and then mention it. Do you know what we are talking about? The test before we accept any hypothesis or any truth or whatever is being told, we'll have to subject it to the three-way test. What is that called? Anybody knows?
Whether Haribol it is, whether Parampara chain told in the Parampara chain.
Yes, Mataji. So yeah, you are right in one way, but we generally call it as the Guru.
Tripod test, Prabhuji.
Yeah, the
Guru,
three-way
Sadhu,
test. Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Yeah, you have heard of that.
Sadhu Sangha.
Yes, Guru, Sadhu, and then Shastra. So if it is coming from the three, then it can be accepted. So here in the Shastras, the concept of incarnations, how it will happen, and that is why this title, this is called as scheduled incarnations. Scheduled means what? It is already there. It is like the scheduled train timings or the flight timings are published anywhere, right? Scheduled. That means it's already there. Tomorrow at 7:30, this particular flight will take off. So that's a scheduled timing. So likewise, there is a scheduled incarnations in Kali Yuga. When there are certain criteria that are happening, which we just read now, then the Lord comes as the chastiser. And like this, all the other incarnations, also some references are given. So this is one significant aspect that we need to understand. And another aspect is that these are all futuristic. They are all like kind of predictions, we can say. Some of them are would have happened in the past, and some are predictive. That means it will happen in the future. If you take a couple of shlokas before, there is this concept, the incarnation of Lord Buddha was explained. So that is something that has already happened here. So I'll touch upon that a little bit because there's a difference in that. But then Kali Yuga, the Kali Purusha coming is futuristic prediction. And here Brahmaji is actually talking to Narada Muni at the start. And then they are, for them, actually everything is futuristic because all that had still not happened. So in one sense, this is all futuristic for them whenever they are talking about the scheduled incarnations. And we can very easily reconcile by seeing how each one of what they have said has already happened. Some of them have not happened because that belongs, that is because of the particular duration of time we are in, where some of the events are yet to happen. So then, okay, so now we understand this with respect to the conversation that is going on. Now, if you come back to the incarnations themselves, what is happening here? You know, when the incarnations happen on this earth, there are so many pastimes that the Lord is engaging in. But then there are two aspects that come out very clearly during any incarnation that we take, any Leela that we take, what is it that he does in each of these incarnation even in these verses that we see, there are two things that happens. So one is that he is protecting his devotees, and then he is annihilating the enemies, or he is destroying or vanquishing the enemies or the demons. So any incarnation if you take, or any Leela that you see, these are the two things that will happen. So the method could be different, that we all know. So there is a particular shloka in Bhagavad Gita which refers to this, very famous, popular one. So anybody wants to try?
Sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam
dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge.
यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानम् अधर्मस्य तदात्मयं सृजामि.
Okay, so I was actually looking for the paritranaya sadhunam. So that's more relevant here, because the two things that we did were very clearly in the purport or in the meaning. It is said that he is coming there to annihilate the demons and to protect his devotees, and then to re-establish the process of dharma. Dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So these are the two activities that the Lord does. So that is why the incarnations have happened. So now many yugas have passed, and then so many times the Leelas have happened, and then it gets repeated, but with some changes. This we all know, like the Buddha Avatara, what happened, the way we know it. But then if you look at Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a slightly different take to the Buddha Avatara, the verse that came maybe a couple of days back, in few verses before it was there. So where it says, the translation says that the Lord comes as Buddha, and then he bewilders or he kind of outwits the people who are flying in planes. That is what we saw in that particular shloka. So does that mean, this is a different scenario. Then somebody might argue because we know Buddha Avatara from our history books. Where were planes at that time? It did not exist. So I'm sure that the speaker would have covered how we are actually taking a reference to the Buddha Avatara that happened in a different era, or in another Mahayuga, not Yuga, Mahayuga means the set of 4 yugas. So in Kali Yuga, Buddha Avatara happens, but then the context, the scenarios, the situations could be a little different. So this we can understand from the verse that we saw earlier. So like this, we can understand the Leelas will happen. The essence of the Leelas is the same, but then some variations can always be there. And then we also understand how the cycles, the Mahayuga cycles in one day of Brahma, there are 1,000 Mahayuga cycles. So 1,000 times Kali Yuga would have come, and each time in the Kali Yuga, Buddha Avatara would have happened. So there will be some variations in the way it has happened. So the Narsingha Avatara in the Dasha Avatara that we generally know of, which we discuss, is Avatara that happened in another Mahayuga and not this current Mahayuga. So this is what the Acharyas say. So like this, we can understand the whole aspect of how the incarnations are scheduled, and then what are the activities that the Lord does. So reading about these incarnations make our faith strong in Krishna. That is there, because each time we read the incarnation, the qualities of the Lord come out, and then we understand how great my Lord is, and that's the conclusion that one needs to have. So all of them are divine, because the Lord said, Janma karma chume divyam karma. The activities of the Lord are divine, especially the incarnations that he takes, and then the activities he does there, or when he himself comes. So every time, so the moment we associate with an incarnation of the Lord or the Lord directly, then it is liberating. Then he is actually, we can also understand that he is the only one who is responsible for our welfare, because each of the avatars are involved in providing something for us. So he not only protects the devotees, that was one level of understanding that we saw. The next level of understanding is there are so many incarnations that are there, we will see as we go on, where he is actually providing for everything for everyone, not only the devotees, but also the non-devotee, for Sarva Bhutana. So every living entity, he is the provider. So, and that's one more aspect that we have to see, because we can take this shloka in the Bhagavad Gita, where he is the Suhruda for everybody. So can anyone tell that particular shloka? If you know. Suhrudam Sarvabhutanam. What's the starting of the shloka? Yeah, thank you, Mataji. You want to complete that? Bhoktaram Yagna Tapassam
Sarvalokamaheshwaram Surabhutanam Shantim Richati.
So, thank you so much, devotees. So, this particular thing about Suhruda is important. So, here, he is the welfare, he is the person who is taking care of us. He is our well-wisher in all respect, and not only for us as devotees or practicing devotees, but for everybody, literally everybody. So, in conclusion, we can understand that the Lord does very Herculean tasks. So, he's a Urukramangi who's doing Herculean tasks. But we have also seen that the Lord actually doesn't do anything. The Lord doesn't do any work, right? So, we know that. But then, and we know that he is just enjoying with his friends. So, there is some contradiction here. On one hand, he is a Urukramangi, and because so many incarnations, so many things are happening, and this is just this one universe, and then there are so many universes, if you see. So this way, Akila Koti Brahmandas are there, and in every of those universes, there is always some Leelas happening. Nitya Leelas are happening. So there is a lot of activity happening. So, of course, and then Herculean activities. All his activities are wonderful. But then, he is also somebody who doesn't do anything. So how do we reconcile this? We can understand that the Lord doesn't do anything, but then he is prepared to do anything for his devotee. So he can come in various avatars. He can engage us in so many ways. And then all this for the sake of his children or for his, that is all of us, not just the devotees, but then for everybody. The moment he has sent a particular soul to the material world, immediately his responsibility is not relinquished there. Okay, you go there, you want to be separate, fine, go. No, that's not like that. He is concerned even after such a decision is taken and then we come to the material world, he is concerned. So the process of bringing back us continues from the time we land up here. So he is always with us as the Paramatma, so which is an expansion of the Lord. And then he is there like in every soul. So like this, we can understand how the Lord can go to any length, any extent, how much ever of this thing he can take for his devotees. So he is Bhakta Vatsala or he is Bhakta Paradina. He can play any role, like he played the role of a Sarathi for Arjuna. So when all this is happening, any interaction with him or with any of his incarnations or any of his activity, any living soul interacts, then there is a benediction that comes. What is this benediction? The benediction is a mercy. So we can see in the previous shloka what we saw, that some of the demons who hated Krishna, but still he gave them liberation because they were associating with the Lord in the time when the Lord spent here on this material earth. So he doesn't turn back anyone, be it demons, be it soldiers who died in the Kurukshetra war, or anything. So all of them, they are either, there is an interaction. The interaction is how it could be favorable or unfavorable. It could be in the way of favorable interaction, like how the devotees of the Lord do, or it could be unfavorable, like how the demons did, like Kamsa or the various people in the war of Kurukshetra. Either they are killed, in which case the interaction is that they get killed by Krishna or by others like Arjuna or Bhima, but then all of them are actually moving towards liberation. So the type of liberation could be different. So that's another topic for another time. But then we can understand how there is an upliftment that happens for each of them. This is how we have to understand. So the Lord is absolute. Our acharyas explain whether the Lord kills or he protects, the end result is the same. So there is benefit or there is upliftment that happens for that particular living entity. So like I said, the Lord is doing everything. He's maintaining us, he's protecting us, he's giving us knowledge. He comes as Kapila Muni in another incarnation, and he gives the Sankhya philosophy. So like that, many ways. And then in fact, they say like the literary incarnation was Vyasadeva. So in any way, it is always the Lord who is coming, giving us knowledge, giving us protection, giving us maintenance. And then he's also giving us intelligence. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Sarvasya Chaham Hridhi Sanivishto, Mata Smritir Jnanam Apohanam Cha. So Mata Smritir Jnanam Apohanam Cha. I am the one who's giving the remembrance as well as the intelligence. So everything is coming from the Lord. So we can understand from these incarnations, by reading about these incarnations, we can understand how the Lord is responsible for everything. And then each incarnation is bringing out a certain aspect for us to conclude this with respect to the Lord. And the faith in the Lord increases that way. So without the Lord, we cannot do anything. Even the aspect of breathing, seeing, expressing, then thinking, feeling, willing, even sitting in the Bhagavad Gita class, and then speaking or hearing, everything is because of His mercy. But then what happens in Kali Yuga is we have missed this point altogether. Why we have missed this? Because nobody thinks that whatever they are achieving or doing, they either take it for granted or they think it is Mother Nature or we are like this. They don't think beyond what they can see or what they can make out with their senses up to the mind and the intelligence. Beyond that, they don't want to go. So there is no sense of humility because they have forgotten God. So that is why Prabhupada says this godlessness is on the increase, is the conclusion of that particular purport that we saw in 38. Altogether, in our daily race, people have forgotten the existence because we get caught up in this material entanglement because of birth, death, old age, disease. So we are caught up there, so we are not able to remember the Lord. But then, whether we remember Him or not, He always remembers and then He takes care of us. So His mercy is equal to the believers as well as the non-believers because He is giving an equal chance. He is not partial. He is not pakshapat. He doesn't do. He is not partial. So He is an equal opportunity provider. Like big entities are also companies which are good. They say we are equal opportunity providers. But then they have the person who's want to make use of that the opportunity, they'll have to qualify themselves. So like that. So there will be screening, there will be interviews. But then they are seeing everybody equally. So like that, the Lord is also like that. So this way, we can see how in the Kali Yuga, godlessness will increase. That is what Maji is saying. And whenever godlessness is increasing, whenever adharma is coming, we saw that earlier shloka of Paritranaya Sadhana, which is Yada yada hi dharmasya glanar bhavati bharata. So glanar bhavati, whenever there is irreligion that is being spread across too much in the world, then the Lord comes. Then He says, I incarnate. So likewise here, Brahmaji is also saying the same thing, where the Lord comes as Kali Purusha when the situation becomes so degraded. What is the degradation? There are three things there, where the topics of the subject of the Lord does not exist because everybody is so fallen, they don't think about the Lord at all. And this is something that we all can relate to. It's not very difficult for us to relate because we are seeing those symptoms. And then it is not that everybody has forgotten. Even the people who are supposed to remember them, that is the people who are the so-called saints or the respectable gentlemen, who are a little more intelligent, who have a better birth because of which they have a little more intelligence, who are even such people in such households, also the concept of the Lord is not there. And then how is the governance happening? In the earlier days, it was by the Kshatriyas, and then Kshatriyas are having the Vedic Jnana, so they were all called as Raja Rishis. But then in the Kali Yuga, the governance will be by low-born, unqualified persons. So low-born means no qualification earlier, because in the Varnashrama, the setup is such that somebody who's low-born means that he or she is not so qualified for taking up a particular job or a responsibility because of their nature, because the Tamogun nature is so strong. So there is laziness, there is all of that things which will not be suitable for a particular job of leading somebody. So sometimes, people, we are a little taken aback when we talk about low-born, but the low-born is actually connected to low on qualification. And that's how it was in those days, because that's how the souls were being born. And then, but now though that is not there, because now everybody is low-born, because everybody's intelligence is come down. So that is why it is Shudra Kalau Sambhavaha. So certain things may not be so applicable here, but let us just try to, here Naradji is, Brahmaji is saying that they are all low-born. And then the technique of sacrifice is not known to them at all. Even now, many of us don't know. Even I didn't know before we came here to ISKCON. And then now, not that I know everything, but then at least some amount of realization is there on the importance of sacrifice. Annat bhavanti bhutani prajanyat anna sambhavaha. In the 3rd chapter, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is very clearly explaining how it is by sacrifices that the rains come, and then from rains then the grains come, and then we eat. So it is all, everything is related to sacrifice. And if we read that particular purport by Srila Prabhupada, so nicely he is living that logical connection of how sacrifices lead to this thing. And then the best sacrifice in Kali Yuga is the Harinam Sankirtan Yajna or sacrifice, which is chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, which is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That's how Prabhupada concludes that. So I would urge all of you to read that 3.14 Bhagavad Gita, the purport after the class, so that will kind of help us to relearn or confirm whatever we are discussing. So here Prabhupada says that society should be very well versed in the knowledge of Supreme Personality of Godhead. We should know the Lord. We should know him factually. We should know his name. We should know his quality. We should know his pastimes. We should know his parshadas, or the people who are connected with the Lord. We should know his paraphernalia, like the Sudarshan Chakra and the Mala, the Gada, and all of that. And so like this, we should know the Lord. Then, based on the knowledge that a person has, the proportion of that knowledge, how much he or she knows about the Lord, there were certain positions that were given to them. So they were more qualified to play certain roles, like the role of a advisor for somebody who knows the Lord well, who knows about all these. So they will be in a position to direct the people who don't know, so that they will be able to make use of this knowledge, this borrowed knowledge. It is like the knowledge is with somebody, but then the practical application of the knowledge is told to this particular individual. So we just do follow that, and then the benefit is there. So that's how it is. So we don't, like we use a phone, but then we don't have the intelligence to manufacture a phone. But then it is already made. Somebody has intelligence, they've done it and they've given it to us, and then there are certain instructions. We just follow that and then make use of the telephone or the phone for whatever reason. So now what we use it for is what is going to give us our karma. So like this, even in the earlier days, the intelligence was with certain people, and then the practical application was they used to give it to the other people so that they could benefit from that. Otherwise, when designations are not based on the proportion of the knowledge that the person has, then they just occupy positions, like somebody is chief minister, somebody is this, that, and all that. Then such positions become decorations of the dead body. That is what Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport. So, which is not a very good situation. And now there are so many such decorated dead bodies. So the situation becomes even more acute. It is not very peaceful. And then it is not a very progressive situation. So the significance of Dvija, or twice born, about knowledge, about Tattva Jnana, all of this people are actually, it is dwindling. It is coming down and down because everybody is becoming a Shudra. And then it is just an animalistic kind of an existing. We are all tending towards that. But then that's not a good situation because, of course, that is how it is going to be. It is predicted. And in the age of Kali, which is the age of quarrel, there is improper behavior. At the drop of a hat, people fight. There are debates, which are not at all like debates. In the earlier days, the debates were so peaceful. In fact, there is this pastime of Shankaracharya where the garland that they had to wear, if it withers away, then it means that the person has lost, which means that the heat of the body, so the person is getting so agitated in the debate that it becomes, his body temperature goes up, thereby making the flower to wither away faster, the garland that is there, which means that then he has to accept defeat. So this is something that is unheard of in the present day, where debate means it is a free-for-all with emotions not being controlled, and then they just go all out. So this is the age of quarrel. We can see these symptoms now itself. And the leaders have to take a note of this. That is what Prabhupada says. And then they have to try to reform the social order that is there. Everything is mixed up now. It has to be put in order by introducing these principles of Krishna consciousness. And this can be done by expanding the culture of Srimad Bhagavatam. So more and more Bhagavatam has to be read. Books have to be published. People will have to buy, and then they'll have to read, or they will have to hear Bhagavatam. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. So every day they will have to do this. Then only there is some amount of semblance that will come in the society. But anyway, right now what is being discussed is what is going to happen after 4,27,000 years. But in between, this degradation is happening. But there is a silver lining to all of this. What is the silver lining? There is this golden age that is being predicted by another incarnation of the Lord, which is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So there, Mahaprabhu, he has come. He is Mahavadanyaya, most merciful. He will also do things. He wants to liberate everybody. So, and then kill the demon. But then he didn't kill the demon. He's killing the demonic qualities in the person, and then thereby protecting the good qualities and then liberating the individuals. So here again, what is happening is he gives the people with no qualification. He is so merciful that up till now, the Lord, whenever the incarnations were there, it was only to protect the devotee. So some qualification was needed for a particular individual to come under that category of getting the protection or seeking protection, right? So they were all devotees, so they was favorable and all that. So that was how it was. Now, in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, it is like there is no need for any qualification at all. So having no such qualification is the best qualification. Then you become eligible for it the first time because you don't have any qualification. That is how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was merciful. He reversed the line. So supposing there is this imaginary line where qualified people are in the front and then lower, like this one long line is there of people waiting to get the mercy of the Lord and then become liberated. So this queue is moving on. And then we are somewhere in the last, at least I'm in the last somewhere. So we don't have any qualification. So compared to the others. Then suddenly Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes and then he reverses the queue. He says, okay, now we'll stop here. I'll start from the other side because most of them seem to have qualifications. So he started off with the least qualified. And now that is how then we are all in this movement. At least I am in this movement because even though there was no qualification, but then because the line got reversed and then suddenly, though I didn't have any qualification, then we are there because we are connecting. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy is there. We're so well connected. So connected to the temple, connected to the acharyas, being given initiation. So many things have happened in our lives so that, we are able to progress and then advance in Krishna consciousness. So this way, this wonderful thing has happened. And the next 10,000 years is going to be this golden age where this will continue. And this is another incarnation of the Lord as his devotee. So every time it is the Lord who is taking this and then he's doing it. And what is it that we need to do? We just need to chant, dance, and then eat prasadam, and then we'll move towards liberation. Now, just imagine if somebody from another yuga or era hears about this, they'll be wondering, is that so? They'll be wonderstruck. Oh, you have to just eat, chant, and then dance, and then we get liberated. Just imagine if Valmiki hears that, he did penance for 60,000 years, standing on one end. If Dhruva boy hears this, because he stood on one leg, so much of difficulties they had to take. And then finally, then the liberation happened for them. But then in this yuga, it is so simple. So like this, Prabhupada is saying that we will have to re-establish Srimad Bhagavatam or the culture of Bhagavatam so that people can benefit. And this is what we are seeing. Though it's a grim picture, but then there is a silver lining. And that is something that Prabhupada brings out. And then if you look at the next verse, which is verse 39, Mataji, if you can share that. So, yeah.
Vasudha.
Yeah, anybody wants to read?
Vasudha Mataji, can please read the sloka.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Sarge tapo aham rasyo rasayo navaye prajesa stane ata dharma makha manva amaravanisha ante tva adharma haramanyu vasasuradhya maya vibhutaya ima purusakti bhaja. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Shanti Mataji,
nice.
You can read the translation.
Yes, Mataji. Translation with the great divine Srila Prabhupada ki jai. At the beginning of creation, there are penance, myself, that is Brahma, and the Prajapatis, the great sages who generate. Then during the maintenance of the creation, there are Lord Vishnu, the demigods with controlling powers, and the kings of different planets. But at the end, there is irreligion, and then Lord Shiva and the atheist full of anger, etc. All of them are different representative manifestations of the energy of the Supreme Power, the Lord.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
So here, Brahmaji is talking about another set of incarnations which are responsible. They are called as what? Collectively, what are these three incarnations called as? Somebody might know. What avatars they are called as? There are many types of avatars, right?
Guna avatars.
Yeah.
Guna avatars.
Purusha Avatara, Leela Avatara, Guna Avatara.
Yeah, so this is Guna avatars, the three gunas. So based on the three gunas, Sattva, Raja, and then Mo, there are the three avatars that have taken place, which is Lord Brahma. So Brahmaji is actually accepting, or he is saying that myself, and then the Prajapatis, and then for maintenance, there again it is Lord Vishnu, and then who's again an incarnation of the Lord, and then Lord Shiva, who's the incarnation in the mode in the mode of ignorance, and each of them have a particular work to do. So this is what is being brought out very clearly here, and we also understand this, and based on the functionality the Lord is doing. So nothing is happening without the Lord. For everything, for creation, the Lord has to be there, and he comes. He is the primary creator, and then Brahmaji, who's again another incarnation of the Lord, he is the secondary creator. And then for maintenance, again, he comes as Vishnu, as Garbhodika Vishnu and Shirodika Vishnu. So there he is involved in the maintenance activities. And then finally, when the time is there for winding up particular creation, then again the incarnation of the Lord is there in the form of Lord Shiva, to bring about the destruction, and then the winding up operations happen. So see, the Lord is so pakka in his particular activities that even if he creates something, then he is also making an arrangement for maintaining it and then for winding it up. So generally we miss out these things. Like if we have to do a function, we plan so much pre-preparation, making it happen, we take so much of effort. But then after that, the winding up, okay, it happens, but then we expect somebody else to do, there's a lot of loose ends that are there, and then it is ad hoc, and then based on the need, then we try to wind up. But then it should not be like that. We should think through when we plan, right from start till the finishes, winding it up, make it come back to how it was, if not better than that. In fact, I remember one of the acharyas in their explanations or in their classes, they used to say, if you go to a place, then how is it that your impact is felt is, when you leave that place, it should be better than what it was when you entered it. It could be any place. Of course, he was referring to the toilet, but then, yeah, it could be extended to anything. So what I'm trying to say is that this winding up or making sure that everything is kept in the same place, or we try to close it, has to be taken care. Sorry. Yeah. So this is an aspect that we can learn from these three guna avatars, how the Lord is so perfect in the way he creates and then maintains and then he winds up. So that's one aspect. And then if you look at the next shloka, which is Mataji, if you can share that. Shloka 40. We can keep
Anasuya Mataji can read the shloka.
Yeah. Hare Krishna Prabhuji,
Then what's pronounced?
Vishnurmyu Virya Gananam Katamot Patiha Yaha Parthivani Apikavir Vimame Rajamsi Chaskambaya Swaraha Shaskala Triprushtham Yasmatri Samya Sadana Durukampayanam. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The translation?
Shall I continue, Prabhu?
If there is somebody who wants to do,
Prabhuji. Mataji, Vandana Mataji.
Yeah. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna,
Hare
everyone.
Krishna.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada Ji ki Jai. Who can describe completely the prowess of Vishnu? Even the scientist who might have counted the particles of the atoms of the universe cannot do so, because it is he only who in his form of Trivikrama moved his leg effortlessly beyond the topmost planet, Satyaloka, up to the neutral state of the three modes of material nature, and all were moved. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji, for that. Hare Krishna. And Mataji will continue to keep the sharing because If you could just keep it that way, it will be nice. Yeah.
I'm okay either ways, Prabhuji.
No, let it be here like this because these are short ones, so I'll be quickly covering them. So that's why I said that. No, keep the translation only. So we'll not read the perfect. So now, in this, what is being told by Brahmaji, that the supremacy of the Lord is being re-established. And then how the Lord is inconceivable and how even the most intelligent people cannot understand him. So why most intelligent? Means a scientist is considered very intelligent. And then so somebody who has the intelligence to count the number of atoms in the universe, so such great intelligence is there. But even such a person will not be able to understand the Lord or the activities of the Lord. Or they'll not be able to conceive it. Because, and then the example here is the form of Trivikrama, who moved his leg effortlessly beyond the topmost planet, Satyaloka. And how he penetrated that particular thing, the covering of the universe, and then Ganga Mata came through from that. So these activities are so wonderful and so inconceivable, even for the best of the brains that are there. And that is what Brahmaji is telling. So he is saying, in fact, if you look at the next shloka, can we just move to the next shloka? The continuity there. So there again, Brahmaji is saying that how you and I, we are not able to understand. But then, Mataji, go ahead and share that. I'm just waiting for you to share. Next shloka. So there again, you and I, we are not able to understand. Not only us, even Sheshnag is not able to completely describe the Lord. So that's what it is said here. Mataji, somebody can read this. Who wants to read this particular shloka?
Vasudha Mataji, can you please read?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Nantam vidami aham ami munayo agrajaste maya balasya purusasya kuto varaye gayan gunan dasasatanana adideva teso adhunapi samavasyati nasya param. Hare
Very
Krishna.
nice. Thank you, Mataji. And then the translation, somebody else can read.
May I read, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Neither I nor all the sages born before you know fully the omnipotent personality of Godhead. So what can others who are born after us know about him? Even the first incarnation of the Lord, namely Shesha, has not been able to reach the limit of such knowledge, although he is prescribing the qualities of the Lord with 1,000 faces.
Yeah, thank you. So here we can see how Brahmaji is saying the most intelligent person cannot understand, and then gave the example of Trivikrama. So we know in that particular pastime how the Lord came as a Vamana, as a dwarf Brahmana, small boy, and then he grew as Trivikrama, and then 3 steps, and then he could cover the earth, and then his helmet penetrated the covering of the universe, and then water started coming. So this is inconceivable. Who can conceive such a thing? The people say imagination, imaginary, mythology. But even you need intelligence to imagine in that way and then write it up. So it is not imaginary by that this thing only. Like one of the acharyas was explaining how so much of detailed description is there about the Lord, and then so much of detail, everything is given. It cannot be imagination. It has to be what is there, and then it has to come from the Lord. Lord himself is revealing. So because it's inconceivable to us. So, and then Brahmaji is also having the same opinion, and then he is telling Naradji that neither I nor all the sages born before you know fully the omnipotent personality of Godhead. We ourselves don't know, myself and the people who have been born before you. So what can others who are born after us? So Brahmaji is saying, it means as the generations continue, as the yugas continue, as the creation has happened, and then as the creation is progressing, we are in the 50th year of Brahma. So how the people who are going to be born after us, how will they even know about the Lord? And then he is giving another reference. He is saying, look at Lord Anantashesha. He's an incarnation of the Lord, the first incarnation. He himself has not reached the limit of his knowledge. It's such that he is not able to, he is keeping on describing about the Lord, the qualities of the Lord, but still it is not complete. And then he is not doing it with one mouth, but he is doing it with 1,000 mouths. So Anantasesha, we know that, like in Anantasesha is describing the glories of the Lord, each of its mouth, the glories are being described endlessly from time immemorial, but still it is not complete. So such is the vastness of the Lord, such is the potency of the Lord, so the qualities of the Lord, that we just cannot understand the Lord at all. But still, so there is this one. If we could just understand, I mean, there is a word that describes this, that the Lord is called as Adhokshaja. So now Adhokshaja means what? Somebody who cannot be understood using our faculties that we have, the senses, the thinking power, the intelligence, the seeing power, the hearing power, assimilation power, anything that we have which has been vested to us by the Lord. This is not enough to understand the Lord. So that is why he is called as Adhokshaja, one who cannot be comprehended by the this thing we have. What do we have? The faculties that we have. So first of all, we have learned that human form is the best form, because in that form we can understand the Lord, or we can make an effort to understand the Lord. We should correct it like that. So that itself is an exalted birth that we have got, because we have the human form. But the human form also is falling short in this way, that we cannot understand the Lord completely. So we'll have to begin to understand. Now, it looks like a contradiction again. So on one side, we are saying the Lord is Adhokshaja. On the other side, we are saying we have to understand the Lord. And that is how our journey in towards the Lord will progress. If you don't understand the Lord or make an effort to understand the Lord, then nothing will happen. So how do we reconcile this? For this again, then we look at the parampara. We look at how Narada Muni is talking about Sarvopadi Vinurmukta Tatparatvena Nirmalam Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Tir Uchate. So here, the aspect of Rishikena Rishikesha is very important. What is Rishikena? Rishikesha is who? He is the Lord. He is the master of the senses. The Lord is also called as the master of senses. He is the Lord. And Rishikena, all our senses, we use it in towards the satisfaction of the master of the senses. Then that type of seva we do. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam. Then bhakti ruchate. That such an activity is called as bhakti. And when we do bhakti, then what happens? Then divya hridaya prakushito. Prema bhakti jahan hote avijna vinasha jate. So the only way these two can be connected, and adhokshaja, and then our senses trying to understand the Lord can get connected only by the aspect of Rishikena Rishikesha, which is bhakti. So only bhakti yoga or the bhakti marga, which is Sarvopadi Vinirmukta, without giving up all the designations. We surrender and then do the seva. Surrender all our senses, not for our sense gratification, but for pleasing the Lord. So that is Rishikena Rishikesha. Then the mercy of the Lord comes, and by the mercy of the Lord, then we will get some understanding of the Lord, which will make us more determined in our effort to do devotional service, and so on and so forth. And thereby then we will be able to progress. So even though everything looks counter to what we have set out to achieve, but if we do Bhakti Yoga, then that's it. And in Bhakti Yoga, the best form of Bhakti Yoga, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has already told us, which is the aspect of chanting, which is both Shravanam and Kirtanam. So there, in the Navavidha Bhakti, any one of the Navavidha Bhakti we do, then our progress will happen, which will help us to get out. See, we have been put here by the mercy of the Lord. If we have to get out of this material world, then again we need the mercy of the Lord. And the mercy of the Lord is this way. Not that we just wait for him and then one day there's somebody will come and then take us out. No, we have to show, we have to take the first step. We have to show the desire, the inclination, and the determination. Like this story of the sparrow, right? It showed so much of determination that help arrived, and then it got what it wanted finally. So like that, we have to show determination, even in a very minuscule way. We show the effort and the determination, and the Lord will give the mercy to us. Thereby, we will be able to make this big jump out of this material world. The Bhavasagara, we will be able to cross over very easily. In Bhagavatam, there's a shloka where it says, the Bhavasagara is like a sagara, very difficult to cross. But with bhakti, then it becomes like a puddle that is formed in the hoof print of a calf. So such a small puddle. I mean, we don't think twice about crossing that puddle, right? We just step over it casually. So that is how easy it becomes to cross the material miseries and then the Bhavasagara if we take to Bhakti Yoga. So this is what Brahmaji is actually trying to bring about in this particular thing. And then if you go to the last shloka, Mataji, if you can just move on to the next.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Can I read, Prabhuji?
Yes, please go ahead, Prabhu.
Esham sahesha bhagavan dayayedanastaham sarvatmana shrita pado yadi nirvyalikam te dustaramati taranti cha deva mayam naisha mama amiti di
Thank you, Prabhu. So the translation, who wants to read?
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead, Prabhu.
Yeah, translation. But anyone who is specifically favored by the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, due to unalloyed surrender unto the service of the Lord, can overcome the instrumentable ocean of illusion and can understand the Lord. But those who are attached to this body, which is meant to be eaten at the end by dogs and jackals, cannot do so.
So this is the kind of a conclusion that Brahmaji is saying in these 5 shlokas. So he is saying that anyone who is specifically favored by the Supreme Lord, the personality, due to unalloyed surrender to the service of the Lord, can overcome the insurmountable ocean. I just discussed this. The Bhavasagara can be crossed very easily by a person who is surrendered to the Lord, who is serving the Lord. What is the quality of the service? Unalloyed, without any contamination, pure surrender. That means not having any expectation. That is sarvopadi vinurmukta. And then surrender. And then do this thing. Hereby then we attract the favor of the Lord. And when that favor of the Lord is attracted, then everything becomes very easy, because it's the Lord only on the other side. Maya is also an energy of the Lord. Everything is coming from the Lord. And so, but then we are trying to do something against that, which is not a very favorable situation. For this, we need to understand, we should have the jnana. And for that, the jnana is being given here through the scheduled incarnations, whereby the aspect of how the Purnam, the wholeness or the completeness of the Lord is being brought out very nicely. And then how the Lord is so powerful is also brought out very nicely. And how everything is so scheduled, and then everything is in place. And then they're giving us a small hint on how to get out, which is by unalloyed devotional service. So, and for a person, and then it can happen for anybody. In case if you are attached to the body, which is to be eaten by dogs and jackals, then it will not happen for us. So this is there in even in Bhagavad Gita also. There is a particular shloka where can anybody relate this to the shloka in the Bhagavad Gita? We are talking about a shloka where Krishna says that if you are in the mood of enjoying with your senses, then devotional service to me does not happen. What is that shloka? Can anybody tell? It comes in the 2nd chapter, 2.44. Bhogaishwarya prasaktanam tayapaha. Yeah. You want to tell the whole shloka, Mataji?
Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarvaloha maheshwaram suhridam sarvam.
No, not that, Mataji. Thank you. But yeah, complete the shloka. Please complete.
Bhogaishwarya prasaktanam tayapaha chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhi samadhavna vidiyate.
So, what is the translation? You want to read quickly?
Yes.
No, not this one. Of that particular shloka. Okay, fine. No, don't bring it up. If anybody is reading it, they can just read it. So where the Lord is trying to say how, Mataji, no need to find that shloka.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. May I, Prabhuji?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Hare
and read.
Krishna. I'll try, Prabhuji, without reading, Prabhuji. Those who are attached to the opulences and the senses,
yeah,
and their determination will not
happen.
And they should have a determination for the devotional service. Vyavasayatmika buddhi.
Vyavasayatmika, yeah, Mataji. Thank you so much. Very nice try, and I think you got it. But in the interest of time, I am
not
interrupting you,
tell
so
them.
sorry about that. But yeah, Vyavasayatmika buddhi. That means the buddhi to do a devotional service does not get established very firmly for the person who is attached to Bhoga and Aishwarya. That's all. Very simple. So if we are attached to material things, then we will not have the intelligence to follow this. So this is what Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita. And you have something very similar here, where it is said that you only all this favor for the Lord and all this and the ability to do unalloyed service and thereby attracting the favor can happen only if we are not attached to this body, which is meant to be eaten by dogs and jackals. So this way we can see whichever shloka, whatever this thing you take, it is all pointing out to one thing only, be it the scheduled incarnations or anything. Everything is about Sambandha Jnana, how we are able to connect to the Lord, how we are able to establish our connection to the Lord as He being the master and we being the servant, because He is so great. He is Vibhu and we are Anu. The Vibhu and Anu concept has to be established in our hearts very strongly by way of Srimad Bhagavatam. Then we will understand how futile our activities are if we don't take the shelter of the Lord. And taking the shelter of the Lord means then we attract the mercy of the Lord. And when we attract the mercy of the Lord, then we will be able to get out of this ocean of the Bhavasagara, that is the ocean of misery, as though we are just stepping over a small puddle. So in that way, so easily we'll be able to do it. Otherwise, no way. We'll be tossed innumerably. I mean, from time immemorial, we'll continue to be tossed up and down the waves and all that, and caught up in this and not be able to get out of it. So this is the sum and essence of what we have seen. It's 10:30 now. I think we can stop here. If there are any questions or comments, then please go ahead. Thank you so much. And I just want to say that we completed up to verse 42, which was allocated. So 38 to 42, we have covered everything. So any comments, devotees, please go ahead.
Prabhu, there's I can understand this. in Sloka 41, in text 41, they say, even the first incarnation of the Lord, namely Shesha, has not been able to reach the limit of such knowledge. But Shesha is actually Balaram, no?
Yes, Mataji, that's correct. Ananta Shesha. So he is speaking.
So even Balaram cannot understand, that's what they mean?
See, not understand. They have the understanding. What we are saying is they have not reached the limit of the qualities or the potencies of the Lord. There is so much of potencies and qualities that are there that it is still not covered by them, even though they are writing, or I mean, even though they are speaking about it. So it is so vast. See here, the aspect that we have to take is how the Lord, the vastness of the Lord, we have to take, not the incapability of the incarnation. That's not the stress there. Stress is on. We are trying to say, even Ananta Shesha, when he is reciting, he's still not completed it, which means he will complete, but then he's still not completed. And he's been speaking for a long time.
Okay.
That's how I think we should understand it. From my limited understanding, this is how we have to look at it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We are not pitting one against the other. We are not saying, oh, does it mean that he's lower? Of course, they are lower only, even though the Lord has given the same position. But the incarnations we know are lower when it comes to the capabilities, the qualities and all that, when we compare to the Lord.
Srilekha Mataji, you had any doubt? You can ask Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for the excellent class.
Hare Krishna.
Just a silly question, Prabhuji. What I was thinking was, we see Trimurti everywhere in India when we go to, any sculptural places. So is that, can we say that Trimurti is Guna Avatara form there? Can we just say that?
Yes, Mataji. So what are the three Murtis? They are Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara, correct?
Yes, Mataji.
So they are actually the Guna Avataras of the Lord, where if you look at Srimad Bhagavatam, very nicely it is explained there how Lord takes the form of Brahma if there is no suitable Jivatma to take that position, And if the Jivatma takes that position, still the mercy of the Lord is there, the empowerment is there, then it becomes the Shakti Avesha avatar of the Lord, where the potency is given to that particular individual, so that particular individual can function. Without that, that living entity cannot perform. So whether it is a direct incarnation or a Shakti Avesha avatara, anyway, they are all avatars of the Lord. So that is the classification. So your conclusion of the Trimurtis as considering them as the three avatars, the Guna avatars, is the right way to look at the Trimurti and then pay the obeisances, because we are seeing them in connection to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to Krishna. And that is how we are supposed to train ourselves to see not only the Trimurti, but all of creation we are supposed to see like that. So I'm just extending that a little bit. But yes, what you say is correct. I hope that answers or clarifies.
Yes, yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Chintamani Prabhuji, you can
Hare
ask
Krishna,
the question.
Prabhuji. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. I feel like I'm reading Prabhupada's purport. It's so easy to understand with a lot of clarity in your class, Prabhuji. One question, Prabhuji. You said that the information about all the avatars are mentioned in the Shastra, and at the same time, in the previous lecture, I heard that there are innumerable avatars. So how do we understand, Prabhuji, innumerable? I mean, so this contradictory, Prabhuji.
Yeah, very true.
So I mean, if information is available, then at the same time, how can you say it is innumerable and we don't know, right?
Very true, Prabhu. Very nice question. So I will just try to answer this by way of giving an example or an analogy. So now let us say we are all students of health, and there is this science textbook that is prescribed to us. Science is a vast subject. I mean, it is very vast. We know that as students in 12th. But then we are given a certain prescribed syllabus where there's the start and end. If we are talking about light, we know that these are the things that we are discussing about light, about sound, about whatever, in that science, whatever is prescribed. So if we study that and then we answer that, then we pass the 12th exam. So we are like that. We've been given a certain set. We have the text which are there. The Bhagavatam is there. So we just need to understand that's the syllabus that we have. And then we have to become an expert in understanding the Lord using this particular prescribed syllabus only. And then we go ahead and then thereby cultivate our intelligence and everything, so that we are thinking of the Lord and then always remembering Him and so on and so forth. Then the mercy of the Lord, He will take us out. So He will take us as qualified to reach Him. So we don't have to be 100%. We don't need to know the Lord. We don't have to score 100%. Nobody has scored 100%. Even the Parshadas who are with the Lord are not 100%, because everybody cannot know the Lord fully. Even Radharani herself, they say, like she knows about the Lord, opulence of the Lord, the quality of the Lord, only that much which is the toenail of the Lord, only that much she knows. So what to speak of the others, we don't know. But whatever syllabus is there, we try to master that, and then we accept what is incarnation, what is not in this. Use our Viveka based on the syllabus that is there, which is the Srimad Bhagavatam, and then go about accepting and rejecting, and then live our life. Then we are past, we are through. So even though what you say is correct, but we will have to reconcile it like this. I don't know if I answered your question, but this is how I think we should look at it. But what you say is valid, because Srimad Bhagavatam is not entire. No, in fact, they say, how many verses are there in the Srimad Bhagavatam? 21,000 verses are there. Sorry, 18,000 verses are there. But then the Bhagavatam in the other world has 1 lakh and all that. So there is nothing like the complete Bhagavatam means complete Bhagavatam. This is the syllabus that has been prescribed to us. And then we try to understand that. That's all. I hope that answers, Prabhu.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, devotees, any other questions? If there are no more questions, we can wind up the session, Prabhuji, with your permission.
Yes,
with the Vaishnava Pranam.
Yes,
Mancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnavavrinda ki jai. Thank you all. See you all tomorrow again at 9:30 a.m. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the wonderful class. Looking forward to have another session with you. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna.
Have a wonderful
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Wonderful section.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.